Hello there, Saber fans. Today I want to give my take on the difference in brightness between an RGB single LED saber, a Tri-cree LED saber, and then a Neopixel saber, and just kind of some of the benefits of each one versus kind of the brightness and that sort of thing. Before I get started, I definitely want to give a shout out to Darth Paradigm. He recently uploaded his own take on video. He's actually got two videos, one with various reds and then ones with various greens. I'm going to try to kind of cover both red and green, and I'll explain why I'm not going to necessarily do blue here in a minute. But let's take a look. So the three sabers I'm looking at today are Crimson Dawn's Typhon. I've added my own pommel there that's from the Centauri's, which the Centauri's is also from Crimson Dawn. Made tons of modifications there. This is the Neopixel. And then this middle one is an Initiate from Ultra Sabers with just the Tri-cree. So let's first take a look at the Typhon. So what it means by RGB is that you can actually change the colors in this. So you hold this twice when it's on, and it'll scroll through the colors. Now, I've already set this to red, but it can be red, green, blue, purple, orange, yellow, white, whatever you want. And I've also muted this. Now, this saber also comes with sound, but for this video, I've went ahead and put that on mute. And I just kind of want to show that so you can see kind of the flare around here. And it's very bright. If you had nothing but baselit hilts, which means that the LED is right here, right there in the hilt, that's what it means by baselit. So the LED is here, this is a hollow tube, and it's just shining up the light. You really can't beat this. It's bright enough to the eye, has a ton of features, but it's not ever going to be as bright as a Tri-cree. And what a Tri-cree means is that, so this saber has the LED here as well, but it's actually got 3 diodes. Now, it's only ever going to be red in this case, but you can just tell from when this was on versus the Typhon just how much red saturation is around here. And when you kind of lay it down, you can kind of see that flare around there as well. So the Tri-cree is noticeably brighter, both on camera and to my eye. So on camera, if you put the two of them together, you can tell the brightness difference right up here. You see how this right here is not as it doesn't have that white core. It starts to kind of yellow right as it gets to here, whereas this stays that yellow core almost all the way up to the tip. So that's how you know this is brighter. But even in person, it's not that much of a difference. I mean, if these weren't side by side, you probably wouldn't be able to tell that there was a brightness difference. So they really are adequate. But I like the charm of having a saber that is the best of whatever color you choose. And it's got the charm of this is always going to be red. So this is my stunt saber that I use. And it's just nice to be like, okay, well, I can change this one to whatever color I want. But this guy's always going to be red, so there's just kind of a fondness for that one. But let's take a look at the Neopixel. All right, so let me actually change this to red. So this is a red font, and you can see just how amazingly bright that is. And because the LEDs are all the way in the blade, it's not going to lose that brightness. So you see up at the top here, it's not going to lose that. And if you turn on the other two, just by proximity of this saber, you see that even the Tri-cree is dimming in the middle. So, but it's still worth having all three because, I don't really want to duel with this because it's a lot more of an expensive blade, has the LEDs. You can duel with it, so like choreography, a couple of taps with the blades, that kind of stuff. That's pretty cool. But I still wouldn't want a really hardcore duel with this because it could break, and that's about $80 to replace the blade. Or even more expensive if something goes wrong on the inside. So this is more of a show blade, and this is the one that I actually would duel with. But let's take a look at the green now, and there's a reason why I want to take a look at green. So let me first demonstrate how you would change the color of the RGB. That's really one of the benefits of the RGB for a base hilt. So for this is a V6 core, functions the same as the Crimson core that Crimson Dawn has as well, but the Crimson core has some more music fonts, but hold that for 2 blinks and it'll start to scroll the color. So there's our yellow, and then that gets into our green. So we just tap the button and hold that green. So really, same thing. It's bright, nice, saturated color to the eye, just like the red. But it's not going to be as bright as a Tri-cree. And specifically, this is a photon blade. So I've talked about photon blades at length. So they convert blue light into a very bright green light. Now this one has is a Tri-cree, and you can kind of see the diodes in there. It's actually blue, blue, green. So if I shine that on the table here, you can kind of see one of the circles is green. So there's 2 circles that are blue, one that's green. They kind of overlap, and you only really see that as you pull back. Now, the reason why I like the green diode is because it keeps the green saturation. Otherwise, just a deep blue through a photon blade will have kind of a highlighter effect. You can kind of see that neon effect. I have a window to the right that's letting in a little bit of UV, and that's why this is already kind of glowing. But when you turn that on, I mean, look at the flare. That's much brighter than the red that we were just looking at. The flare is much bigger. And then when you turn on the green here, you know, you put those 2 side by side. Now green is pretty bright in its own, and I would have to say, aside from the flare being much bigger, these 2 would be comparable. The fact that this has a slightly yellowish hue in person would almost make it look like these 2 weren't even the same color. But on camera, as you can see, you know, this one has, even up at the top here, you can see more of a kind of halo around that. But then, when you activate the Neopixel, that is even brighter. I mean, you can't even really see the edge of this. It's so bright from this. And it even kind of darkens out the camera when you get too close. But the reason why I wanted to show the photon blade in this is because, in terms of brightness, you know, if you still want to stick with a baselit hilt versus the Neopixel, although I just got this Neopixel yesterday and I'm loving it, but if you want to kind of stay in on budget friendly and you want the brightest green that you can get, with the baselit, I would recommend getting blue, or even get your RGB and set it to blue, specifically the light blue, because the light blue has both the blue channel and the green channel, and that will give you a nice saturated bright green. But otherwise, the Neopixel is where it's at. I hope you guys enjoy.